Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Betting Exchange English Greyhound Derby podcast. For the last time this year, PL, we are looking at the remaining runners in the Star Sports TRC English Greyhound Derby, a race to really savour, to look forward to. It's a long time coming, 192 down to 6.
Yeah, and we've got a very good lineup as well. I think the makeup's really worked out well. Ian, I think you might agree. I mean, you could have had slightly different scenarios, but I think essentially, I think the main protagonists will be very happy with their track draws, and obviously, with one wide seed, Price's Jet there, and Mickey's Barrett, the sole middle seed, he got track 5. I don't think they're too worried where they're drawn. So I think it's worked out pretty well. But obviously we'll discuss that in depth
Yeah,
throughout.
we certainly will. We're going to go through all 6 runners. We'll take a look at the overall sort of competition, the race, what we should be looking out for on the night, and again we'll give our best bets and where we see the fact that there might be a little bit of value too, and how we perhaps would have priced the race ourselves. Before we do, we get straight into it. We'll just again remind you of the sign up offer, which Matchbook Betting Exchange bet at £30, a welcome offer. You get it back as a free bet if your first bet loses. Insights 30 is the bonus code again. So sign up with the Matchbook Betting Exchange again, a £30 welcome offer, and again free bonus code Insights 30 there to sign up to get it back as a free bet if it happens to lose. Hopefully you won't be losing. Maybe your first bet will be in the Derby final itself. We've got 6 wonderful finalists. Savannah Bow in red for a certain Kevin Boothby, the Toaster Supremo, trained by Diane Henry. Kildare in 2 for Aaron Peter Cronin and Aaron Comerford. In 3, Hello Hammond for Paul Hennessy and Jerry and Miriam Meany. 4 is Romeo Magico for David Firminger and Graham Holland. 5, Mickey's Barrett for Jason Gray and the slightly boisterous Mickey Barrett Syndicate. And out in trap 6 is Price's Jet for Brian and Kathleen Murphy, and of course a second runner for Paul Hennessy, who's seeking to claim a third English Derby success at a third English Derby venue. That's pretty impressive in itself, PL.
It is, yeah. Obviously, he won with JT Jet, didn't he, at Wimbledon, and with Priceless Blake at Nottingham. So, yeah, it is impressive. And I like Paul's attitude, and for that matter, Susan. They've got a dog, and they will travel. I do remember actually, Ian, when I did the Cheltenham race up the hill, and Paul was really keen to get involved, and that there were a lot of people that spoke to Edward Gillespie, the Cheltenham Supremo at the time, and they all said, "Oh, we want to come over from Ireland." And it is that. I think the English Derby is quite similar to the Cheltenham Festival in where you get that mix of Irish challenges and English challenges, and it's good when you get some real top quality dogs come to the fore and reach the final. But you've got a few of those little stories throughout as well, which just add to the sort of the romance of it, I guess.
It's what really adds to the English Derby in itself. It is sort of equivalent to the Cheltenham Festival. Perhaps the Irish Derby is run at 550 yards to Shelburne Park. It probably is all in all a better quality competition more often than not. But it's the fact that you get that mix of the international competition, Ireland versus the UK, and that adds so much to it. The fact that there was, over 40 Irish runners this year added so much to the Derby. There might be 2, if we're lucky, English runners in the Irish Derby a little later in the year. It adds so much to the competition.
It does, yeah, definitely, and it's and there's different styles, isn't there? Where some of the trainers have been travelling backwards and forwards, Ian, but some of them have based here, and it's whatever ever suits your lifestyle as well. You have to remember I think actually Paul was praising Susan for the fact that all the time and effort that it takes throughout this kind of 6-week period to get your dog to peak at the right time, to get him to settle, to get into the right routine of it all, because greyhounds love routine, and obviously it's that mix of, do we travel, do we stay, but it seems to have worked in the fact that Peter Cronin has travelled backwards and forwards, and Susan Hennessy has stayed, and obviously Nicky Holland stayed with just up the road from me with Dave Firminger. So yeah, it's interesting, and Kildare is one of the travellers, and he's actually just about trading his favourite, so it hasn't really harmed him.
No, certainly hasn't. Susan, this is probably the first year she's been really hands-on in sense of coming over and staying. Normally it was Kevin, but of course Kevin welcomed a daughter a little while back, so he has his hands full, and it rests on his mother. Susan Hennessy. But of course, she comes from greyhound stock. Her father was a greyhound trainer, and a pretty good one at that. She was into the dogs before she even met Paul. So, she's certainly a talented greyhound woman herself, and the results are there. He's got 2 in the final. Hello, Hammond and Price's Jet. But let's go through them, PL. We'll start from the top, I suppose. Savannah Bow. We have been discussions already this week about Savannah Bow. As you can see, he's trading around 18 there on the Matchbook Betting Exchange. He is 20 with a fixed at the moment. He'll probably tip over that closer to the time. I think he is overpriced myself. I think Mickey's Barrett perhaps should be the outside of the party. Savannah Bow, of course, spent his time with Graham Holland, won a race in Shelburne Park, 29.50 odd for 550 yards, was then sold via the Greyhound Trader sales. And here he is, only a matter of couple of months later in the Derby final for Kevin Boothby and Diane Henry. Big finisher, this fellow. If there is any traffic in the race, this is the dog that you'll be keeping an eye on. Trap 1, Kevin Boothby, you were telling me earlier in the week, didn't want to be in there. I think it's the perfect place to have him. He only has to concentrate about getting to the corner as fast as he can and perhaps finding a pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Kevin last night, actually. I went to Oxford, and that's coming along really nicely, by the way. But I said to him, then, what trap would you have preferred? And he said probably drawn off a little bit. And I think that we've had throughout, Ian, where most of the trainers think that if you're drawn off, you seem to break better at Toaster. But I agree with you. I actually think his draws works out really well for him. And I again, I agree with you in that I don't think he's any kind of full-on hope whatsoever. This greyhound, there was a lot of interest for him. I think actually David Mitchell was interested in buying him as well as a prospective stayer. And obviously everyone keeps saying, oh yeah, he'll make a great six-bend runner. But the fact that he's done so much as a fairly young greyhound, was he April 20? He has progressed. And a Palomine, he kind of got into the Derby probably from round 1, and he was looking for stayers, and he's actually backed Savannah Bow and Hello Hammond because he's realised that you need a strong running type at Toaster, just the makeup of the track. And to be fair, Savannah Bow fits the bill. I was a bit of a doubter, I have to say, because I didn't think that he had enough speed early in the latter stages, and I think I've got to tell you, there is a scenario here where this dog could turn in a pitch. If Kildare and Romeo Magico crash and they do tangle, or Mickey's Barrett is up there with them with a bingo break, Price's Jet the same, there could be some crowding at the first turn, and that will play into the hands of Savannah Bow. And if he unleashes that back straight pace and gets close to them, Hello Hammonds is a dog that has got gears, and if he's in front of Savannah Bow, you say, well, hang on, Savannah Bow won't be back running him. But if Hello Hammond does the old indicators which way am I going around the first 2 turns, it could play into the hands of Savannah Bow. And I agree with you. I don't think he's an 18-20 chance by any means. He should be shorter than that.
Yeah, 10 or 12 would be perfectly fine for me.
I
He caught
think so.
listen, obviously, we know what I knew of the dog. I'd seen him in Shelburne Park, and then he won his trial stake. He ran well in the opening round. It was the night in the second round when he was 4th or 5th down the back straight, and he picked up Emily's Jet to go 3rd on the run in. Now, Emily's Jet is very strong, bright, young prospect here in Ireland. And to pick up that dog, he caught my eye that night. And as a result, the 2 or 3 nights following, I've had little nibbles on him just in case at big prices on the exchange. The night he picked up Lataro and Sign at Ace was, a good night for me. He was big price that night. But it signaled his intentions. It signaled his talent. He's very strong, yes, but he's, it's not purely because he's strong that he's there. He's also intelligent. And as you say, Paul, he's got the pace along with the strength. And that's why he's in a Derby final. And in a race where, as you said, Hello Hammond, sometimes he just, if room gets tight, he can do silly things like moving off and causing a bit of bother. And all of a sudden, Savannah Bow, as you say, could turn 3rd or 4th. And before you know it, he's on top of you and you're going, uh-oh. What am I doing now? And that's where we're at with Savannah Bow.
Yeah, the more I've gone in and looked throughout the week, Ian, the more I actually do believe that he should not be the price he is. And the other thing is that I think you might agree as well is if you listen to Diane Henry, who, she's been in greyhounds a long, long while, and she's had a lot of top class greyhounds through her hands. She knows that this dog is a young dog. I think he's quite what you might call an immature dog, and she knows that the dog's progressing, and he seems to be progressing at the right time. And I would say she'll have him primed for a big, big run on Saturday from what I think isn't too sad a draw. I think he'll edge off a little bit at the start, but I think he'll straighten himself. And in the ideal world, I think Savannah Bow's connections will want Kildare to lead. They'll want him to go off. They'll want him to be up there. And then everything on the outside has got to come round the outside of Kildare, where Savannah Bow will just be minding his business up on the inside. And then he'll want to sort of see that clear daylight out the second turn and try and get as close as he can to the leaders as soon as he can. And then, of course, he'll burst off the last. You're right. His finishing speed is to die for. And that's why everyone's saying, oh, yeah, he'll be a grand 6 Ben dog. He's not too bad a 4 Ben dog at the moment.
He certainly isn't. The one thing about this dog is as well, we know 500 meters barely takes a breath out of him. You know what I mean? He's ready to go. He'll be fresh and well. Absolutely primed to run his biggest race. Kildare racing from Trap 2. My own personal opinion was I thought this fellow would be favourite. I thought if he was drawn inside Romeo Magico at the trap draw on Monday afternoon's lunch, that he would be made favourite. And that's not the case. There are one or two fixed odds firms that are have him there disputing, and I think maybe one just has him ahead of Romeo Magico. But as you can see in the exchange, 375. God, that's a perfectly fair price, Paul. 11-4 about a greyhound that has all the attributes to win a derby. He's got blistering early speed. He's massive down the back, and while he didn't get home all that well last week, he certainly should get the 500 meters. He's still relatively young. He's July 20. He's the youngest runner in the lineup for Peter Cronin, who knows the time of day. He'll have this dog as well as he can possibly have him. I just thought his price was perhaps a bit on the big side.
Yep, I would agree with you. We did the watch along for the semi-finals, and someone actually in the chat asked me to price the race up before we even knew the draw, and I think they gave a scenario where Kildare was on the inside of Romeo Magico, and I said that really whoever's on the inside of those two will be favourite, and I would probably have made Kildare to a 120 book, something like a 7-4 chance, Ian, on the inside of Magico.
My thoughts exactly. So the 7-4, 15-8, around that mark, I think that would have been where he should be.
Yeah. So because of the fact that, and the other thing I did say to you, Lorraine knows, a couple of owners within the Peter Cronin kennel, and they reported that they felt that the dog was ready to do himself justice in the semi-finals. I said to you right the way through this, I think this dog, being a young dog, has just struggled actually with the travelling. But I think now he's probably a man, if you get what I mean, or approaching being a man now. And he had 5 runs in the Kirby, and he caught my eye. And I still maintain that Kirby is a very, very good competition. Kildare was a dog that came in there as a raw novice, and now he's learning how to run total. And I tell you what, Ian, the fact that he's drawn off the fence now is a massive plus. I think his ideal box would be 3, but I think the connections will take this draw all day long.
Yeah, all day long. For them, PL, it was just a case of getting drawn inside Romeo Magico.
Without a doubt. Yeah. That enhances their chances so much more, because Romeo Magico is capable of smashing and clearing him if Kildare misses at a beat. But you're basing a lot of, as a punter, even as a trainer, you're basing your chances on level breaks. And if they break level, Kildare will hold Magico to the bend.
Yeah, that's the way I see it also. And if he holds him to the bend, I think he holds him down the back straight. When you look at the ground, he lost up the home straight last week to still record 29.16, only 10 spots slower than Romeo Magico, is, testament to itself. Now, granted, he'd gone to the corner 2 lengths faster than Romeo Magico on the sectionals. So, perhaps that's where they counteract each other. But no, Kildare, I think, is a big, big player for Peter Cronin. And Aidan Comerford, he's lightly raced. He's improving all the time. He's the youngest finalist. He has the early speed. He's the pace down the back straight. And you know yourself, PL, if you manage to get to the front in the Derby final, it's not too often you're picked up. You know, that's the place to be out front. Hello Hammond races from Trap 3. The same tone I'm going to say with this one. Hello Hammond, a dog that I know an awful lot about. I've managed to get him beaten in A2 company in the past, A1 as well. He's always been an exceptionally fast greyhound. I said it last night in Racing Post Greyhound Television. I think he's a better greyhound in better company. Well, you can't get much better company than a Derby final. Trap 3 is his ideal box PL, I think you'll agree. And he was the wrong price prior to the draw and immediately after the draw at 8-1. And he's now a 7, so 6-1.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fair. I still think there's probably a little bit of meat on the bone there. Obviously, I've said the top is too short or too big. 2 is too big, and now Hello Hammond in Trap 3 is too big. You can guess where this is going with the bottom 3 runners, but Hello Hammond for me, he was the only dog I backed immediately after the draw at 8-1. I just thought it was an insult to his chances.
Yeah, and I must admit, because I have backed him at 50s. Again, after the first round, I told you my friend was looking for the stayers, and I really was impressed with Hello Hammond when he flew past Kilkenny Santi. In the first round, I thought when he led, I thought, what the hell is he doing at the second turn? He wobbled all over the place and let Spinosaurus inside him. And
I was on the watch along with you at that point, and we were nearly aghast, going, "Oh, what are you doing?" You had the race at your mercy.
Yeah. And the thing is, Ian, he'd already had the trial stakes. It wasn't like he hadn't been round the track at all, And he is one of those dogs. He's just got bundles of speed and pace, but he's just such an awful, as you rightly know, he's just such an awful bend runner. And that's not a one-off occurrence. It's happened so many times. I mean, again, the more I think of it, I thought, well, this isn't too bad for him. And I wanted him drawn 3 or 4. And I have to tell you, I think I'd have been even happier if he was drawn 4. But I'll take the for the anti-post, I'll take it. But you're right, and this is something that when you said, when he came out, the prices. Someone else said to me, I think, the same man who backs him, Paul, my pal who does Crayford. He said, I think he said he was 10. He might have seen 10 in a place, but yeah, he settled at 8. He said it's completely wrong, and I think Harry Finley always teaches me that if you see something wrong, but you've already had the bet, it's a separate bet. It doesn't matter that you've already had the bet because you've seen him. This is now a separate bet. If you're pricing this race up, when I priced it up, I made him a 4/9-2 chance, and he was 8. So that is a bet, isn't it? And I still think I agree with you. I still think there's some juice in the 7 dead there.
Yeah. Absolutely, no question about it. It is a case of where he's going to get his run if Kildare and Romeo Magico get out in front of him. There is potential that he get a clear run in behind them because he should lead up Savannah Bow. And if he does, with Mickey's Barrett and Price's Jet staying their wideish line, he should have room to race, Paul. And that's the scenario. If you're backing Hello Hammond, you're looking for him to turn third, maybe a close 4th, and then make his power count in the closing stages. Certainly a big player. Paul Hennessy, the last time he had a runner in Trap 3 in the Derby final, I believe, was Price's Blake around Nottingham.
It was, yeah. And
he went bingo,
really
obviously.
well. Yeah, he did.
I'm not sure this fella's going to.
Well, that's the thing. If he breaks like that, can he? I mean, and he broke against Kildare from the inside in, didn't he? But he still got that little tap for toe. But again, lines, he's probably trying to edge off that little bit. But it was the fact that he got trapped on the inside going into the bend. And then as soon as a dog comes across his line, he just makes such an he makes a meal of everything. And I think the fact that he's drawn off the fence and in the middle will suit him. That's not to say that he won't still have a little bit of a jink here and there. And the fact that, he's got 2 pacey dogs alongside him, I don't know whether it's a good or bad that he's drawn in 3. I really, really don't. I've got to tell you, he is a law to himself. I think it's better he's drawn off the fence. I'm much, much happier he's drawn off the fence. But I can't say he's a good thing, and he is the price he is because of those reasons. But the fact that I just think he's got such a massive engine, and the fact that he keeps doing 29.30s, a lot of the pricing up from the the analysts, if you like, have got him wrong. at that
Yeah.
price because they're
Yeah.
treating him as a 29-30 dog, and he's not. He's much quicker than that.
Well, he's a 29-second dog that just happens to do things that make him do 29-30
Yeah,
odd. No, fast greyhound, no question about it. Moving on to Romeo Magico. This fellow, 3.25 currently in exchange, 9-4. That's sort of where he's at with the fixed odds firms. I, I think he deserves to be up there disputing favoritism, but I think he
yeah,
should be just a little bit bigger than Kildare. I had him around a 5-2 chance. He's my only anti-post selection remaining in the competition. He's worth a few quid to me. He's not Ballinabula Ed money or anything like it, but he's winning me money. This dog is really matured into a proper greyhound. It's worth noting that he is in trap 4. His 2 best sectionals around Toaster have both come from trap 4, be it in the quarterfinals when he did it 4-13 and in his
yeah,
trial stake when he did 4-16. They were the only
yeah.
2 times he broke 4-20. They were the only 2 times he was in trap 4. And if you are on Romeo Magico long odds, well, you're delighted that he's in trap 4, Paul.
Yeah, no, I've backed him on the exchange myself. He's literally sort of gives me a level book. But if Kildare places in the 6 and Hello Hammond's in the 4, then I'll get the place money. So, yeah, I've got Kildare, Hello Hammond, and Magico from the outset. And there's a lot to like about him. I think he's really grown up. And actually, Nikki Holland said that as well. I spoke to her as we went in there for the drinks reception, and I said to her, I think he's grown up. I think he's turned into a bit of a man now, rather than, she said he was very giddy. I think she said he was very giddy as a last year, so he was quite young and immature. I'm assuming, but he seems to have got his act together, and again, he's got all round speed. He's no forlorn hope. I've still got my mind that if he turned very, very close to Kildare, he might be able to bob him on the line, because I think Kildare will be all out. I think that's as far as Kildare wants to go. As you say, quite rightly, Kildare off the front, that's the place to be. But if Romeo Magico smashes and puts Kildare under pressure, then there could be some race down the back straight, because they've both got.
If he smashes,
speed.
there's every chance he leads Kildare too. You know,
Of course.
like from what we know of the 2 dogs, they're both a little bit inconsistent at boxes, and to expect both of them to smash in the same night is the odds are stacked a little bit against you. Now, that said, if both came out even just a moderate enough start, they probably do have the early speed to go up together in front of the remaining 4 runners. And that's why the intrigue is there. There's no dog guaranteed to smash out. There's no dog guaranteed to set the pace. There is the water's quite muddied in this final. And if you're backing Romeo Magico on the night, or if you haven't backed long odds, you want him to do, listen, a 4-16 would probably suffice, in the sense where he'll be bang there on the corner, down the back straight, and you know that if he's alongside Kildare or just behind Kildare, there is every chance he'll bob him on the line, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Romeo Magico, you're quite right, and I picked this up as well. I did the Derby lanes. The fact that he's in 4, actually, for him, when you analyse his form, is a positive, because his two best breaks have been from the 4. And Romeo Magico is a dog that, when he breaks well, he shows good early pace. When he won his quarterfinal, Ian, I was surprised that the quality of early pace that was alongside him. He led that race on merit, because he got that sort of propulsion from the traps. I just think, he's never a dog that's going to miss his break and rush up, whereas Kildare can. I think Kildare's got brute early pace, and generally he's not smashing the bars down. Kildare, he's showing his natural early speed from moderate breaks, whereas Romeo Magico, when he smashes the bars down, he's got, I would say, equally as good pace as
when he smashes, he comes out in the front foot, whereas when he misses, he comes out in the back foot.
Yes, and then he takes his time to go, but then he can still unleash that back straight pace and keep on. So you have got 2 chances with Romeo Magico, without a doubt, because I see those 2 as the standout early pacers in this race. Now, it's all on the night who breaks, and as you say, like last year, maybe you think you didn't really expect Kilara Lion to lead. You didn't really expect Thorn Falcon to be so prominent, and things can happen in Derby finals with that one scenario. But I think that Romeo Magico in trap 4, I spoke to Dave Firmiger, and he He's not too unhappy with the draw at all.
No.
And you get what you're given, but I don't think it's a terrible draw by any means. And what David said, and he's quite right, this dog is really racing the bends, Ian.
Yeah.
Now, he'll race the bends much, much better when he's got nothing in front of him. So if he can get that break and clear Kildare, all well and good. Having said that, if Kildare's inside him, then he's got something to think about. And something that Tom Francis has got some sectionals at the first turn. And I thought, I'm a bit funny with sectionals. I always think you're better off going on your eyes when you're watching videos. Because then the first bend splits are only a guide, to the win line first time. At the first bend, they're probably a bit more pertinent. But there was only a couple of spots in it sometimes. I'm thinking, how's that going to make a difference? And when you watch, when dogs are on the inside, they seem to be maybe a head in front. And all of a sudden, as they turn, they're a length and a quarter in front.
Yeah.
And it's a massive, massive advantage. And that is why Kildare and their connections will be so pleased they're on the inside of Romeo Magico. I say the fact that Dave Firminger is happy that Romeo Magico is racing the bends, that's going to give him a positive in that he's going to try and match Kildare on the turns as well. And that's what I think is this makes this race really, really exciting.
Yeah, I hope it's not a situation where if Romeo Magico gets that 3 parts of length in Kildare and cuts across that, they clip heels or something. Like we've seen Romeo Magico do that. It nearly cost him his feet in the trial stake. You remember the night he was beaten by Thorn? He beat Thorn Falcon in the trial stick. He was clipped off the second bend. I'm going to say it was Cape Cloud. I think it was Cape Cloud. He just cut across him at that point. I'm hoping it's not a similar.
Cape Cloud, you're right.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not a similar scenario. I hope he keeps his true line. And if he does, let's see these two dogs have a buckle out front. And that also sets it up for those in behind. You know what I mean? If they go hammer and tongs at it.
It does because I always say you're only going to do your fastest race or put you in your fastest clock in when you're getting a clear run. I do think that, I've got Romeo Magico staying fairly straight for 4 anyway. I think, you could put him in 2 and he'll stay straight. I think Kildare might just edge off slightly, but I don't think. I know a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, he's running off violently," but that was only once he got clear daylight. If Romeo Magico's on his outside, Kildare won't be moving off as violently. No. He'll stay his racing line, and that's the beauty of looking at these these lines and these lanes that these dogs take. They do things differently in scenarios with greyhounds around them. And Kildare's now getting to a situation in his career where he's getting enough experience. And I as I say, I think the fact that he's off in 2 is better. And I don't think Magico's going to really worry about being in 4. Ideally, they'd want to have been drawn inside him, Ian. They would. But in the scenario of the makeup of where you've got Savannah Bow and Hello Hammond more staying types, and the fact that Mickey's Barrett and Price's Jets on their outside, they'll be happy, I think.
Yeah, let's get to Mickey's Barrett and Price's Jet. No doubt about it, Romeo Magico is a major, major player. Such an exceptionally fast greyhound, always has been. Even from debut, he looked a star. But as you alluded to, Nicky said he was giddy. Graham used the term excitable when I was talking to him earlier this year about the dog. He says, but he's grown up. He says he's really strengthened up, become a man, and the evidence is there. Mickey's Barrett races from Trap 5. This won't be popular. PL, obviously, he's a wonderful story, named after a great pal of theirs, a syndicate of, I don't know, there's about 175,000 of them as far as I can see. It sounds like the terraces at Nottingham Forest when they get singing, and they are all Notts Forest fans. Mickey's Barrett, I wouldn't back this dog at 33-1. I really do struggle to see how he can win the race. I think 15.5 just does not excite me in any way, shape, or form. I think he should be the rank outsider of the party. That's not to say he doesn't deserve his place, because he has really dug in this dog. He's got a willing attitude. He's got loads of pace and ability. But from the draw, and given the fact that the dogs are on his inside, and then even if he does get loose and gets a nice clean run at the leaders, he still has to hold the likes of Savannah Bow, Hello Hammond, and even something like Price's Jet. I really struggle to see how he can win, bar he makes a start like Clara Lyon did last year and get to the front off the second bend like Thorn Falcon did, and stays on like Salad Dodger did back those years ago. I think he's going to struggle, PL. Can you make claims for him?
He'll only win in a messy race, won't he? That's the thing. But I guess to a certain extent, he probably got one of his best breaks, and that was, again, Ian, that was from Trap 4, and I think Jason half knows that he's probably a better dog from 4, and he's going to break better from 4. But like he said, it is what it is. We're in the Derby final. We're in 5, and he's had track 5 quite a lot throughout the Derby. But he's one of those dogs. I think he's. I don't think he's blessed with blinding early speed. I think he stays well enough.
He's just a good, solid, strong running greyhound, isn't he?
He is.
Like you'd back him.
Good competition dog.
You'd back him every week. I'd say around a Nottingham or a Hove, and here we are in Toaster. It's no surprise that those are the tracks that you'd be backing him around.
Yeah, he's got good all-round pace. That's the thing with him. And I was guilty of backing him throughout. I failed, and I thought he would confirm the form with Cape Cloud in the next round when he headed him in the earlier round, in the second round. But yeah, that didn't quite work out for me. But again, he's just one of those dogs that he's full of running, and he'll keep going. But it's just whether it's probably his quality more than anything else. He's given the lads in the syndicate the ride of their lives, and like Jason said, a lot of them don't really understand greyhound racing. But to get your first greyhound in the memory of your pal, who obviously sadly departed this earth too early, to get to the pinnacle. Jason said they don't really realise what they've achieved. Some of them. He said he tried to give them an analogy, and it's funny because I was going to say to him, because of that Nottingham Forest thing, I was going to say, oh yeah, it's like the FA Cup, and he said, yeah, it's like the FA Cup. He said, but actually, what it is, it's like the Champions League, and it is, isn't it? It's this is in England for these lads. This is the best competition and the best race that they could ever be in. So it is like a Champions League, and they're there. And
it's like this. If he manages to make the frame, Jason Gray would be over the moon, and you could actually see a situation where the syndicate members would turn to him, going, "Well, but we didn't win." Like, and as you say, he's trying to explain to them, like, we literally took on the giants. We were there in the final, and like, there's every chance he'll run a big race. But again, I'm just struggling to see him come home in front. But my God, they'll make some noise, Paul.
They will, and they'll enjoy their day, and that's the thing. They've come in mobs throughout, and standing on the terrace and cheering him on. And he hasn't, he won his first round, did he? No, he's won 2 races. Yeah, he's won first and second round. But even so, they're still cheering him, and obviously they cheered him to qualify last week as well, like he was winning the race. So yeah, it's given them a thrill, and let's get it right. We need people outside of the sport to be coming in, and that crossover between the football and the dogs is brilliant.
Yeah, his sectionals 422, 421, 426, 428, 421, 424. He needs a 410, and it'd be foolhardy to back him to do a 410 in his probably nearly 7 weeks running, to do it in the 7th week.
Yeah, I mean, but when you look at actually his best time, just realise his best time actually was last week. So he's clocked his best run. Listen, Jason, there's a lot to like about the lad. He's really humble. He's been in dogs through his father, and to get this dog to the final, I think it'll be a positive for him as well, for his kennel and his future. But it's not beyond the realms that things can happen in Derby finals. It's a one-off race now. He's done all his qualifying. He's got all his seconds and thirds and a couple of wins in the early rounds. It is now a one-off race, and anything can happen. And we've seen stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger things certainly have happened. On to Price's Jet, out in Trap 6, the track record holder. Brother to a classic winner already, Epic Hero won the Irish Ledger, trained by Tommy O'Donovan, who's won a Derby, trained by Paul Hennessy, who's won in Ireland, England, Scotland. He's won the English Derby twice before. He's bidding for a 3rd. Of course, he also has a low Hammond for Brian Murphy and Kay Murphy. They have also tasted plenty of classic success, including with Price's Blake. It's the pedigree is there. And the legs are certainly there if you look at that track record breaking display, but he's going to need to match that start, isn't he? I'd like to be, given the noise and the occasion, and Trap 6 might might actually be the place to be. You never know. Maybe there's a chance he'll hear a bit more of the hair than some of the others, but he's going to have to take a flyer because getting around Mickey's Barrett is not going to be easy. And as we've said before, he's going to look to edge inwards in parts, perhaps on the opening bend, certainly on the third and fourth bends. And if he's behind dogs, he's going to struggle to pick them up. But he ran a big race last week, and I heard Kevin Hennessy talking during the week and said, "Listen, both our dogs are absolutely bouncing." And Paul did leave this fellow with a lot of work to do through the Derby, left him as fresh as he possibly could to give him the best opportunity to win a Derby. And here we are, looking ahead to June 25th, and he's bang there in contention. I think he's about a 5-1 chance. He's shorter than that with the firms. Whereas he's 4.7 the exchange at the moment. I think he'll be a drifter, but whether he'll get the 6, I'm not sure, PL. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, I had him about 9-2, so 9-2, 5-1 is probably, I would be agreeing with you there. Exactly what you just said there. This is what makes Paul Hennessy win big finals, because he's a thinker. He thinks outside the box, Paul Hennessy. There's no dangers of that, and he's the fact that Price's Jet, the age he is, he'd be 4 in August. It's easy to write him off, and I have to hold my hands up and be as guilty, because you actually said that Paul was quoted as saying this dog will go in undercooked into the Derby, and it went in one ear and out the other, which was very remiss of me, because when I saw him in the first 3 rounds, all I think of Price's Jet is basically a stayer. He stays really well. He's got good quality, but he stays well, and he wasn't even coming off the last bend, and I was then putting them in, as I've said to you, we're guilty of putting dogs in boxes. I was putting him in the box of he's not the dog he was.
I've always put him in the box of a hell of a fast greyhound that just managed to creep
Me
almost
too.
750. So he wasn't a stayer per se, but was a dog that struggled to get the room, and that's
would
where he got his
stay the
confidence
500
last
well, Ian. Do you know what I mean?
big
Would have
time,
stayed the
big
500 well. Not. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to lead to win with him. That was the way I look at him, because he's got good back straight pace and stays all right. So, but when he put in that track record performance, you just went. You got to take your hat off to Susan and Paul and say, wow, that he's back. And it wasn't a terrible run in the semis either, because that's the thing with Price's Jet. He'll stay fairly straight. I keep having him 4 3/4, and I think that's wrong of me. I've got him 5.5, because I think, again, with dogs inside him, he'll just stay out there anyway. When he sees clear daylight, he'll move in.
Yeah.
But when there's a dog there, and Mickey's Barrett will probably be there, Mickey's Barrett will stay fairly straight himself. So that'll keep Price's Jet out. But it's when he gets to the bend, you know more than anyone that he will cut that bend. Now, if he's not the length clear, then it could cause a bit of squeezing for those dogs that might be near to him. And he did that with Make Noise as well in the semi-final. And he had a hell of a battle trying to get past Make Noise. And then eventually, when he did down the back straight, he almost railed, didn't he, around the last 2 turns?
Yeah.
Which is good, because he's saving ground.
He's not drifting. He's not drifting. And that's the worst thing you could do in Toasters, drift off corners. It loses yourself. Like, even look at Hello Hammond, who drifts off corners as an inside seed, while Price's Jet doesn't. He stays a true line, especially when he's on his own, as you say, PL.
Which is then means, Ian, that he's going to be running as fast as he can, because he's going to be taking those lines. And that's why I keep looking at, you're quite right. The danger is here, Ian, if there's too many dogs on his inside and he starts cutting, then he's going to get held out. But if he bangs out the boxes and there's only one dog in front of him, then it's race on, because this dog will go hard to the line. And we saw he nearly caught Kildare, and that was with the traffic with Make Noise. Now,
he was 5 lengths behind Kildare at one point.
Exactly. And so if this dog gets a clear run, he's no for hope. And that is the whole scenario of this Derby. I mean, you're right. Mickey's Barrett is highly unlikely, but in the extreme circumstances, he could. But Price's Jet can win it. Romeo Magico can win it. Hello Hammond can win it. Kildare can win it, and so can Savannah Bow. That is the intriguing Derby final for 2022. It's incredible. And I've got no great confidence, I've got to tell you.
If it was just a one-off heat, let's say in the second round of the Derby, you'd be nibbling away. You might have a couple of quid in Savannah Bow at the big prices, and if you'd got the 8-1 Hello Hammond, maybe couple up the 2, and maybe back a Kildare to cover your stake or something like that. But it's one of those races where, if it was the second round of the Derby, you'd be leaving it alone. Relatively, you wouldn't be getting stuck in. Because it's a Derby final, people find themselves getting carried away. Oh, we need to back something to win fortunes here.
Yeah.
This isn't the race to win fortunes unless you're back in Savannah Bow at the 20, but I think it's wide open. Really is wide open. PL, I'm gonna have to ask you for your logic, your reasoning, and your bets.
Well, we're right at the top of this. We said I think Kildare is slightly overpriced. I'll make him shorter, so I've already got him. But if there's you haven't got anything that's got to the final, then you're going to get your run out of Kildare, because I think he will get a clear passage. I thought Hello Hammond there's a bit of life in him, but you're going to need a prayer mat to make sure that he does what you want him to do, and put your hands together. And I agree with.
Are you a big one for prayers, Pierre?
Not necessarily, but
the punting gods.
Yeah, the punting gods. Yeah, but again, I've got to tell you, Savannah Bow is overpriced. And again, I said this last week, Ian. There is a place market, and this lad in the place market might be worth investing a few pounds.
Do you know what? That's a very pertinent point, because if Kildare or Romeo Magico don't lead, whichever doesn't lead, like that's who's to say that Hello Hammond won't take a flyer or Prices Yet take a flyer? But if one of those doesn't lead, they are a little bit vulnerable to Savannah Bow. Perhaps Kildare more so than Romeo Magico. Romeo Magico will run certainly strong to the line. Kildare would definitely be vulnerable to the likes of a Savannah Bow or a Hello Hammond, and that place market. There could be value options there, no question about it.
Yeah, well, take the scenario that Prices Jet takes one like he did in the quarterfinals, cuts right across, happens to get in front of Romeo Magico and Kildare. Now you're looking for a stayer. And if Prices Jet has cut across, there's all sorts of jostling in behind between Kildare, Hello Hammond, Romeo Magico, and Mickey's Barron. All of a sudden, Savannah Bow's going to get in the race. Now, he's not going to back run Prices Jet, no chance. But he could get placed.
Yeah, no question.
So there's lots of scenarios where good things can happen to Savannah Bow.
So give me
price.
Break it down for me. What's the best bet?
Best bet's got to be Kildare, because I think he'll lead. My head tells me that he'll lead, and like Ian Fortune quite rightly says, in the Derby final, in front is the place to be. And he is coming forward at the right time. And I just sense that Peter Cronin has got him spot on. This will be the 11th race of his career. 5 in Ireland, 5 in England. So all this dog can do is go forward. And I'm just getting that vibe that he's going forward at the right time. Hello Hammond, I suppose, is more heart than head, maybe. Although I know he's a fast dog, I know he can make mistakes. And he is surrounded by a couple of speedy dogs, but I've got to save on him. I couldn't entertain me not betting him and losing on the race. And I think Savannah Bow actually is the more I've come into the week, I think Savannah Bow is a good place bet.
Yeah. I think I agree with you largely in most of those points. Kildare will be the best bet currently at the 3.75. I think that's way too big. I'd have 2.75 more so. So you're getting a full point for your money there. Don't get me wrong. If they had been the opposite way, if Romeo Magico was the bigger price than Kildare, I probably would have been selecting Romeo Magico, because the more we talk about it, the more you can see a scenario where Magico just gets a better start from trap 4 and just gets around that corner. And if doing so, he's going to absolutely go hammer and tongs to that third bend. And that's where the race could be won. If you didn't get the 8-1 Hello Hammond, still a little bit of juice there at the 7 if you were interested. Savannah Bow, definitely have a fiver in Savannah Bow, especially if you get around a 20. I think that's way too big. But Kildare, for me, I agree with you, the place market. Take a look at it. You never know what way it will go. I would be reactive to this Derby final. The market could go any way in the hour or two leading up to the final. And if you think something's too big at a price, have a nibble. And I think it's a race where it's about nibbling rather than putting chunks down. But the very best of luck to you with your selections. PL, it's been an absolutely fascinating English Derby from start to finish. We are set for an absolutely fascinating decider on Saturday night at Toaster. If you get the chance to get down there, make sure you come, because it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful occasion. PL and myself will be there. If you see us after 10, 11 o'clock at night, probably best to ignore us. We'll be well into celebration mode at that point. But listen, it's going to be a great night. PL, it's been a pleasure these last few weeks. We've talked an awful lot of rubbish, but we've talked some sense too. We've given plenty of winners. Sign it Goofy didn't place last week. I don't want to revel in it, because obviously he's a very talented greyhound, but it was my one place lay of the Derby. I think I nominated. I just thought there were signs there that things could go awry.
All right, you've got it right. He's on the Derby final card, isn't he? In a very, very good race, actually, with Bucko's Budsit. Yeah.
And we must mention that, PL, an unbelievable card, 14 races and all. Obviously, I fancy Space Jet in the finale. Just that's one for you and me, right? We'll keep that to ourselves. If you're about 8-1 on, best of luck if you're backing that one.
Yeah, it is. And there's the fact that now we've got to this kind of scenario where, and I think it's a good idea in that, in the old days, you used to enter, and there were so many people that were disappointed that they didn't get a runner on Derby final night. Now that we've got the scenario where we've got heats and finals, the best dogs go. So you can have no qualms now, because you've got your chance to qualify for the final in the competitions that run alongside the Derby itself. I think it's a fantastic idea, I've got to tell you.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing Call Me Steve.
My best, call me Steve. Yeah, in the stayers race, massive chance. He really has taken to the six bends. My best piece of advice to punters, especially those going to Toaster, is it's a marathon, not a sprint. It starts at 8:04 and it finishes close to 10 o'clock, lads. That's or 6:04. That's 4 hours. Don't hit the juice too early, because by the time the Durando come, you could be having your life savings in Space Jet at 8-1 on, and that ain't a good thing, guys. That ain't a good thing. Listen, PL, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much, everybody. €30 or £30 sign up offer once again. Insights 30, £30 welcome offer you. Money back as a free bet if your first bet loses. PL, pleasure as always. To everybody with a runner on the night, especially those in the final, the very best of luck. May they all come off safe and sound. We'll see you next time.